Chaos DLC faction, worth it? No. They have a huge variety of lords, a big variety of heroes. Their infantry roster is bigger than Bretonia's entire roster. A lot of monsters and beasts, no demons. The Lord of Change is in the game, but he is not available for custom battles for whatever reason. But he's in the game. Chaos Lord, Prince Sigvald the Magnificent, Chaos Sorcerer Lord Death, Chaos Sorcerer Lord of Fire, Chaos Sorcerer Lord of Metal. Would probably be easier if you could just pick a sorcerer and then pick which tome of magic which wind of magic he drew his powers from. Colex Suneater and Archaon the Ever-Chosen. Archaon is a fighty dude with some magic as well. The fairly standard stuff. Flaming Sword of Ruin, as you can imagine, 22% weapon damage on top of 480 damage is quite substantial. Very high melee attack as well, and yeah, Archaon is a pretty good melee weapon fellow. Kolek is as well, but these are more. Some people might disagree here, but in my opinion, these guys are more campaign heroes than they are multiplayer battle heroes. Very expensive and relatively easy to counter. Archaon doesn't have a mount worth much. So with the chaos, which Chaos Lord to bring? Well, Prince Sigvald, I'm not too fond of you. Sorry to say, Prince Sigvald. Nothing much going on for Prince Sigvald. However, where it's at, in my opinion, is the Chaos Sorcerer Lord of Death, and you can put him on whatever flying stuff you want. The Chaos Dragon is a decent pick, so is the Manticore, as long as he's flying and as long as you can use his Spirit Leech to snipe enemy generals. The Purple Son of Cerus can also do a lot of damage to enemy targets. So can the Fate of Yuna. Something like Demigryph Knights, a nice target for the Fate of Yuna. Then you have the Exalted Hero, Chaos Sorcerer again, Fire, Death. Should you, for whatever reason, want a second Lord here. Very expensive, these Lords. So you can potentially bring 2 Lords of Death, and those 2 Lords of Death will kill heroes with their Spirit Leech. Double Spirit Leech, very powerful. Then we're getting to Infantry, Chaos Marauders. Super standard infantry, nothing special about them whatsoever. Marauders with great weapons. These guys are Marauders that have high armor piercing damage. Then we get to Forsaken, one of the highest infantry weapon strengths in the game. Relatively low armor piercing, but only if you consider armor. They still have, let's see, 20 armor piercing here. They still have 14 armor piercing, so it's pretty good. Good armor, very high leadership, high speed. Very high speed for being an infantry unit. Relatively low melee defense, immune to psychology, and they have frenzy, which, I mean, isn't that huge of a buff with the melee attack and the charge bonus. The melee attack is still very, very high. Chaos Warriors, bunch of armor, bunch of leadership, very slow. Decent weapon strength, very sturdy infantry. Chaos Warriors with great weapons. Basically your Chaos Warriors with higher armor piercing, Chaos Warriors with halberds, Chaos Warriors with charge defense against large foes, and a bonus versus large of 16, which is quite good. The Chosen, no bonuses versus anything, more armor, more leadership, more of everything. Then the Chosen with halberds, it's does what it says on the tin. Chosen with great weapons, chosen with more armor piercing damage. Which units are worth it here? Well, if you're going up against... If you know you're going up against a lot of monsters and cavalry, Chaos Warriors with halberds are kind of a given, but only kind of. Because in my opinion, Chaos Marauders are where it stops being really cost effective for Chaos. The Forsaken are pretty damn good, but they die very easily to missiles and to cavalry. So I really like having Marauders as the meat shields, great weapons as damage dealers, getting through heavy armor, and the Forsaken for going in at key points on the battlefield and doing damage where you need more damage done. Then we get... I rarely find place in my armies for the great weapon Chaos Warriors, the Chaos Warriors with halberds. Not to say that they're a useless unit or anything, because they are a fairly decent unit. It's just that they are such a passive counter to cavalry and monsters. You have to stop the cavalry and monsters somehow. Because most people are not going to be stupid enough to charge your halberds with their monsters / cavalry. Chaos Chariot, useless. Gorby's Chariot, slightly less useless, but the price is a bit excessive. Chaos Knights and Chaos Knights with Lances are... The charge bonus for the Chaos Knights with Lances is very high. Chaos Knights, they have decent stats, decent armor, very slow units these, with a speed of only 66. Will do a number on most infantry that aren't spear or halberd infantry, will die horribly to demigryphs. Then we're getting to the Marauder Horsemen. Both of these have throwing weapons, so these guys have javelins, these guys have throwing axes, quite a lot of ammunition for both units. Short range, vanguard deployment, can be useful for harassing, but these are not very powerful units, and I have to say I don't use them too much. Chaos Warhounds, high speed, scaly skin, which basically only gives them a small missile resistance. Can be powerful. If they had vanguard deployment, things would be a lot more interesting for these guys. Chaos Trolls and Armored Chaos Trolls can be fun for friendly battles, but these units are very easy to pick off. Chaos Spawn are an interesting unit because they are unbreakable, and they have a very high weapon strength for being a monster. One of the better monsters in the game, in my opinion, the Chaos Spawn. Low armor, but they will fight to the bitter end, together with causing fear, so these can be used to good effect. The Chaos Giant, not a huge fan of the Chaos Giant. Although the weapon strength is high and it causes terror, it's so easy to focus on this fellow with magic or arrows and watch him go down. Same thing with the Dragon Ogres. I do not find them to be worth it. There are too many units in the game with a bonus versus large. The Dragon Ogres will not do well against masses of infantry. Same with the Dragon Ogre Shaggoth. Very high health, but it's hard to make this unit cost effective. Then we have the Hell Cannon. Hell Cannon is a fairly powerful war machine, and yeah, that is the only one you have. It's the only real range you have, together with these Marauder Horsemen with throwing axes and javelins. It would be nice if you had Marauders with throwing axes and javelins on foot as well. The Hell Cannon is just a dangerous artillery piece. Only one cannon, so it doesn't have three like some of the Dwarf and Empire artillery. Now with Chaos, because of the price, if you don't go for the Marauders, you're going to be paying a lot for units. So let's say you want a Chaos Warrior Corps. Let's say you want 6 Chaos Warriors. And then you want some Chaos Knights in here as well. You can see you're getting a very small army. And this army is not going to do well against anything. However, if you pick Marauders instead, you get 1 Marauder and 1 Marauder with a great weapon for each Chaos Warrior with great weapons or halberds that you pick. The problem with these Marauders is that their leadership is not great and their damage potential is not great either, which is why Forsaken are a decent choice. Now you could potentially struggle very badly with this type of setup against enemy cavalry, and one of the problems is with Chaos is that they have few good direct counters against enemy cavalry. So one too many here. So you can have some fun with 2 Chaos spawn and just this, an army that I like quite a bit, but not this. This isn't a hugely competitive army by a long shot. What you're going to want to do with Chaos, with your Lord of Death, you're going to want to use the range of your the Spirit Leech. The range is 100 meters. Same with the Fate of Buna. So you are going to move into enemy missile range when using these spells. You could of course move around and stuff, but with Chaos you want to put the pressure on in melee. Usually you will have more melee troops than your enemy. Tie down as many units as you can, and then try to kill important enemy characters and units with Fate of Buna and Spirit Leech. However, that could of course also be done against you, so you need to be careful about that. Now let's have a look at a battle with Chaos here. Let's see. Yep. The replay shouldn't be broken. I just have a little insignificant mod running there. So against the dwarves. Now this is kind of cheating because the dwarves do not have any cavalry, which makes it easier for Chaos and this type of setup to work. So I'm using the setup that I showed previously. We have 4 Forsaken, looking pretty good there in a horrible way. Then I have the 6 Marauders up front, 6 Chaos Marauders with great weapons, 1 Wizard, and Wizard with the Lore of Death. I always pick the Lore of Death. Then we have 2 Hell Cannons, because I'm not that afraid of the dwarves' ability to get at them quickly. Grudge Thrower here for the dwarves. Miners, 6 miners, 6 Longbeards, 2 Gyrocop units, and let's see, the Slayer King. Obelix does like the Slayer King. And here we have Master Engineer buffing his stuff. So yeah, sending in the Marauders, sending in the Forsaken, and you can see the miners are dying very quickly indeed. So the miners are being pulled back here. While I'm sending in those Marauders with weapons. Nothing fancy this. The Forsaken are taking focus fire. They are also chopping through the Longbeards very quickly. The Forsaken, some of the highest damage infantry in the game. They are exceptionally powerful in the right circumstances. My wizard is fighting here, but the main reason for my wizard fighting is to get him in range so I can use Spirit Leech. Spirit Leech is such a frustrating ability. And miners losing there against the Chaos Marauders. gyrocopter is running around and damaging stuff. I'm not too worried that my units are running away from the battle. Usually they will come back and I have a lot of units. So Obelix is being smart here by putting his gyrocopter behind my lines and firing down into my men. More effective, I think, than if he would have stood here or flown here and fired through his own men. So the gyrocopters are contributing with hit point damage and getting some kills in. He actually has 3 gyrocopter units, and as you can see, the gyrocopters are helping. In the first engagements, he lost use of my Forsaken. Now he's starting to turn things around, breaking a lot of my units in the process. Here the Slayer King is fighting up against Marauders with great weapons. Just standing around and having a bit of a brawl. This is a tall ass dwarf here. Big ass dwarf. These dwarves are slightly shorter. Forsaken are continuing to do damage. Maybe some of the most cost-effective infantry for Chaos Forsaken against the right troops. The combination of Marauders with great weapons and Forsaken is one I like a lot. However, if there was cavalry on the field here, and that cavalry would be able to rear charge me, I couldn't really do anything about that. And I would die horribly. 20 kills for the Grudge Thrower, and at this point, considering that I have a rush army, these hell cannons, perhaps I could have spent my funds better than using them on hell cannons. The gyrocopters could attack the hell cannon in melee and stop it from firing, but the gyrocopter is busy chasing my marauders on the field. Hell cannon having a hard time hitting the very tired gyrocopter. No! I don't know how a helicopter gets tired, but apparently it does. Yeah, getting into the Grudge Thrower. Things come back from routing, charging into this melee beast, 73 kills here. But 73 kills against fairly low cost units. Here come the Forsaken into the fight. Fortunately, not all of my units have been chased off the field. The Master Engineer has been spirit leached a few times, now he's fighting against Forsaken. My Wizard is fighting. Something that's kind of annoying to me is how much, I mean, even the Wizard has a huge amount of health and is able to go one-on-one against a bunch of longbows. He's losing in the end, but not before army losses is going to make the rest of the dwarves lose, because I just have so many units. And once again, I probably wouldn't have needed these hell cannons. I could have made use of some chaos spawn instead in this type of rush setup. Of course, Ungrim is going to refuse to flee with the rest of his army. He wants to kill some more Chaos Scum, getting very nice number of kills there. Pyrrhic victory for Chaos, and as you can see, it basically works as expected here. The Chaos Marauders go in, hold off the enemy, while the Chaos Marauders with great weapons come in, deal damage, and the Forsaken are the real killers of this army. Whereas for the dwarves, the miners are sort of the first line of defense. The Longbeards did well for themselves, but against fairly outnumbered. I like the use of gyrocopters in this case. He actually had 4 gyrocopters, positioning them behind my lines and shooting down on them. There wasn't much I could do about that. So yeah, I liked both armies here, and very close battle came down to Ungrim Iron Fist killing off Chaos while the rest of his army ran. Strength and honor.